Hi guys, Unleashed Code and welcome to another video. I want to apologise for not doing a video for a while. I am super busy. Please understand that recently in the last 3 weeks my son Felix was born, and ever since then I've been up to my ears in tears and nappies. So I apologise for that, but here is a video on Apex. I desperately wanted to get this out on the day of its release, which was a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, priorities in life take over, huh? So here we are. I'm going to go through all the changes and the additions to Arma 3's Apex build, and a ton of things have changed. So I'm going to cut out all the useless bits. They're not all useless, but I'm just going to say this is a rather condensed video which includes a lot of the changelog things which I think you want to hear about. Okay, let's start with the map Tanoa. It's 100 square kilometers. They've chucked in 600 terrain structures on it. They've got, it's more than 600 terrain structures, more than 200 signs, 25 rocks, 100 trees, bushes and clutters. 10 new vehicles, guys. The V44X Blackfish VTOL, the Y32 Xian VTOL, the Prowler LSV, the Keeleen, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, LSV, the MQ-12 Falcon drone, that looks badass, KH-3A, a Fenhuang drone, the MB 4-wheel drive off-road car, the Caesar TBB propeller plane, the Rib boat, and a water scooter. That's just vehicles. They've added a load of guns too. Finally, we're getting our AK variant weapons. We've got the AKS-74U, which is 5.45mm assault rifle, an AKM 7.62mm assault rifle, the AK-12 7.62 assault rifle, the LIM-85 5.56 machine gun, a new launcher, which is the RPG-7 launcher, a new 9mm pistol, the PM, a SPAR 16 5.56 assault rifle, its bigger brother, the SPAR 17 7.62 marksman rifle, the KAR 95, which is a 5.8mm weapon. That's an assault rifle. I've been using that. I really like it. I think it's a pretty cool gun. The Type 115 6.5mm, the CMR 76, that's another 6.5mm marksman rifle, a Protector 9mm submachine gun, and Urco optics. There's also been some new gear added, and that's sort of regular and thermal masking uniforms, new clothes, headgear, backpacks, night vision goggles, and a few other things as well. One of the biggest changes in Apex is obviously the campaign. You can now do it as a 1 to 4 player co-op, and that is cool. I'm looking forward to doing that with a few of my buddies. So also in that comes the Showcase Endgame, Endgame 24 Bellevue, and Endgame 16 Modagat. There's been 13 new Apex Steam achievements added, and obviously they've addressed the factions, obviously to be tied in with Tanoa. So you've got the NATO Pacific faction, the CSAT Pacific faction, a Syndicate faction, and a Gendarmerie faction. Okay, there's a whole new sound engine attached to it as well. They've got positional ambient sounds for Tanoa, new tab displaying official servers in the server browser, new main menu terrain scenes for Alta, Stratus and VR consistent with Tanoa's new approach, suppression samples have been added to radio protocols, and new sound 3D processing types, which also leads us on to new sounds and collisions with vegetation, new footstep sounds for movement in the sand, geometric occluders to Altus and Stratus objects, new sounds for falling trees, including palm trees, falling tree sound sets and sound shaders, new sounds for metal constructions, rock debris for ruins and ancient locations. New sounds were also added for the wind, so that's nice. And that's just the additions, guys. Moving on from there, we go into the tweaks. This is a ton of stuff they've also tweaked in the game. Rain and thunder sound effects have been tweaked. The autocannon fire mode for the AH-99 Blackfoot and the Mi-48 Cashman helicopters has now been finally changed to 5-round bursts, as it should be. Heavy caliber projectile impact was improved. The tile textures for deep sea and map preview have been improved. Weapon tail sounds have been improved, sounds for the vehicle collisions have been improved, visibility of various characters' movement states in relation to AI detection improvements. There's also been task distribution in multiplayer has been improved. AI is now less able to detect explosives while they're driving a vehicle, but watch out guys, the AI detection of weapon firing is now improved and better. Okay, they've also tweaked sounds of footsteps have been improved for volume based on animations, different sounds for forests and other tweaks. Okay guys, that's just tweaks, that's stuff they've improved on. This is now going into the fixes. This is stuff which was broken in previous renditions of the game, and this is stuff they've actually fixed and overcome. Bullet collision geometry for Reed, that's been fixed. Transition animations from prone transitions to crouch and stand, sitting and ladder animations could also be used for switching on the move, well, weapon switching on the move, that is. That's been fixed. Weapon switching on the move could cause incorrect behaviour for cutscenes and vehicle crew animations. That's been fixed. Players could bypass the initial countdown in endgame by respawning in cases where the respawn time was shorter than the countdown. That's a cool cheat, I didn't know that. That's been fixed now anyway, so much for that. It was possible to respawn in a vehicle with its simulation disabled. That's fixed. Characters were forced to go prone when opening an inventory while moving unarmed. That's been fixed. That's annoyed me a couple of times. Animation freezes when limping into swimming state. Fixed. The AI could also get stuck in the FFV animation. Characters would stop and slide when transitioning from an unarmed jog to an unarmed walk, and characters would go prone, switching from unarmed jog to unarmed walk while turning. That's all been fixed. AI units were displayed in the entities list regardless of the settings in the virtual spectator. That error has been fixed as well. So moving on to engine additions and fixes, they've added support for multiple vision modes in the goggles, that's night vision goggles. Authors of markers, drawn lines can now be displayed, multiplayer synchronization for assigned team functionality, and they've also added a new upload waypoint for the vehicle in vehicle transportation. What they've tweaked is turrets and airplanes are now more properly supported. There's some default video options now which have been tweaked. Improving depth priming for distant vegetation's been tweaked. Various terrain performance optimizations. The chat and voiceover net icons now change their colours according to the channel's colour. They've also tweaked performance optimizations for terrain drawing at night. Commanding AI to hold fire and now stops also suppression, that's been tweaked. The co-pilots have been trained to control VTOLs, obviously required now. And airplanes are now less prone to fly backwards. Okay, the AI suppression was increased during a bailout from damaged and immobilized vehicles. Sorry, I'll just repeat that one again. The AI suppression was increased during a bailout from damaged or immobilized vehicles. Mines can now be detonated by players even after they respawn. The AI visibility at night was optimized. The vectoring and auto hover actions are now separated for VTOLs. The AI visibility in fog was decreased. Several improvements to the AI airplane piloting, including VTOL airplanes, that is. Interaction pointer for 3D task assignment and task overhauls. The 2D editor link has now been removed, guys, but I believe you can still get to it if you press Ctrl O. You'll have to check that up, I'm not sure if that's true or not. Commanders can now order switching weapons even of FFE passengers. The default sensitivity curves for eye tracking have been improved. Turned out tank commanders can now select the cancel targets for the gunners, and also what's been fixed is it was not possible to use UGLs when deployed. That's fixed. APCs would ignore the suppression command. That's fixed. Switching from launcher while being turned out from a vehicle was not working. That's now fixed. AI would refuse to suppress a target over a small obstacle. That's been fixed. Incorrect action mappings would cause a spam in the RPT file. That's fixed. AI divers were told not to throw grenades underwater. That's been fixed. Tasks were not saved correctly when resuming a scenario after closing the game. That's fixed. The team switch mission event handler was not working in single player. That's been fixed. It was not possible to assign tasks in 3D while controlling a UAV. That's also been fixed. There's a ton of more fixes coming along. Here we go. There was no dust particle effect for landed VTOLs, that's sorted. The dust simulation for stationary airplanes was incorrect, that's been fixed. The forces applied to destroy planes were incorrect, that's been fixed. The disembark command was behaving incorrectly for large vehicles, that's sorted. A delayed vehicle explosion would add score to the effective commander of the shooting vehicle. Now that's been fixed, I know that's annoyed quite a few of my teammates in the past. The built-in DLC and the server browser names weren't localized, that's sorted now. The explosion damage of vehicles was inconsistent in multiplayer. The kill score was handled incorrectly for renegades and heavily damaged vehicles. Map markers were also disabled on servers by default in some cases, that's been fixed. A crash when ordering AI to unload cargo vehicles sorted now. Multiple AI characters were trying to get into the same vehicle turret position in some cases. That's no longer going to happen. Incorrect weapon handling during weapon switching in some cases. Potential crash connected to the role assignment multiplayer. Vehicles were not audible after loading a save game or switching window focus. Fixed markers were not visible for other players in multiplayer. That's fixed. I think I mentioned that before. That characters would switch to the rifles when the sidearm was replaced in their inventories. That's not going to happen anymore. Opening the map would cancel the waypoint deployment. That's fixed. Crash when loading OGG and LIP files at the same time. The Action MV goggles would turn night vision instantly off after turning it on. That's been fixed. The next target action would not work correctly for turned out vehicle commanders. That's fixed. The repair and heal icons were displayed also to players with medikits and toolkits. That's now fixed as well. VTOLs would also take off facing north regardless of their waypoint direction. That has been fixed. And finally, just to wrap things up, there has also been many updates done to the Eden editor. I'm not going to cover it in the scope of this video. I feel this video has kind of gone on long enough. There are a ton of changes also to the Arma launcher and to the Arma servers. I'd also like to note that the changes that I have mentioned are just some of the changes from the changelog, not all of them. I personally went through, just picked out the ones which I thought would be useful and the most interesting to you guys, my viewers. And there's quite a lot that I've left out. So I will leave a link in the description with the actual link to the changelog if you want to read it. If you're a scripter or a programmer, I really strongly suggest that you read the release notes, as there are a ton of new functions, identifiers, parameters, script commands, with changes and extensions to some of the event handlers as well. So that wraps it up, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope that sort of rounds up everything that's happened with the Arma Apex update, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.